Welcome to Mornings with Patty. Today I am reading from The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. It's August 20th, and this is a really important reading, and I would love for you to stay with me as long as you can because it's so important regarding how to define and be in relationships. How to be honest in relationships. We can be honest and direct about our boundaries in relationships and about the parameters of a particular relationship. Perhaps no area of our life reflects our uniqueness and individuality in our spiritual path more than our relationships. Some of us are in a committed relationship. Some of us are dating. Some of us are not dating. Some of us are living with someone. Some of us wish we were dating. Some of us wish we were in a committed relationship. Some of us get into new relationships after our spiritual awakening, and some of us stay in the relationship we were in before we began our spiritual journey. We have other relationships too. We have friendships, relationships with children, with parents, with extended family. We have professional relationships, relationships with people on the job. We need to be able to be honest and direct in our relationships. One area we can be honest and direct about is the parameters of our relationship. We can define our relationships to people, an idea written about by Charlotte Castle and others, and we can ask them to be honest and direct about defining their vision of the relationship with us. It is confusing to be in relationships and not know where we stand, whether this is on a job, in a friendship with family members, or in a love relationship. We have a right to be direct about how we define the relationship, what we want it to be. But relationships equal two people who have equal rights. The other person needs to be able to define the relationship too. We have a right to know and ask, and so do they. Honesty is the best policy. We can set boundaries. If someone wants a more intense relationship than we do, we can be clear and honest about what we want, about our intended level of participation. We can tell the person what to reasonably expect from us because that is what we want to give. How the person deals with that is his or her issue. Whether or not we tell that person is ours. We can set boundaries and define friendships when those cause confusion. We can even define relationships with children if those relationships have gotten sticky and exceeded our parameters. We need to define love relationships and what that means to each person. We have a right to ask and receive clear answers. We have a right to make our own definitions and have our own expectations. So does the other person. Honesty and directness is the only policy. Sometimes we don't know what we want in a relationship. Sometimes the other person doesn't know. But the sooner we can define a relationship with the other person's help, the sooner we can decide on an appropriate course of conduct for ourselves. The clearer we can become on defining relationships, the more we can take care of ourselves in that relationship. We have a right to our boundaries, wants, and needs. So does the other person, and we cannot force someone to be in a relationship or to participate at a level we desire if he or she does not want to. All of us have a right not to be forced. Information is a powerful tool, and having the information about what a particular relationship is, the boundaries and definitions of it, will empower us to take care of ourselves in it. Relationships take a while to form, but at the same point, we can reasonably expect a clear definition of what the relationship is and what the boundaries are. If the relationships and the relations clash, we are free to make a new decision based on appropriate information about what we need to do to take care of ourselves. And today I will strive for clarity and directness in my relationships. If I now have some relationships that are murky and ill-defined, and if I have given them adequate time to form, I will begin to take action to define that relationship. God, help me let go of fears about defining and understanding the nature of my present relationships. Guide me into clarity, clear, healthy thinking. Help me know what I want is okay. Help me know that if I can't get that from the other person, what I want is still okay, but not possible at the present time. Help me learn to not forgo what I want and need, but empower me to make appropriate, healthy choices about where to get that. I love this reading because it brought so much up for me, and my most difficult life experiences have been in relationships because I really don't know how to be in relationships. I don't know how to be open and honest and vulnerable because in the past, when I have been, it's been used against me. Has that happened to you? But I didn't know I could set boundaries around that. So this is what this reading has said. It says to be honest and direct, and I'm going to add loving. I have a tendency to be brutal. I don't mean to, but many times when I have been honest and direct, it has taken people by surprise and they shut down on me and they don't want to be with me, and I can't blame them because people really, here's the thing, people really don't want your feedback. They don't. And I know that to be true because I used to be a manager and I would give feedback and watch the defensiveness. And I would try to couch my feedback in a way so that somebody could hear it. I would use my teaching skills, as I am a former educator, and pay attention to how somebody hears me. And if they can't take feedback, I don't offer it today, which this is not what the meeting is saying. So anyway, to be honest and direct and loving, to define the parameters of the relationship and give the vision of what you have in this relationship, and also realize that the other person has a vision too and they may not mesh. The other thing is that we have a right to be direct, and so does the other person, and that we can set boundaries. So I'm going to share a couple of stories about me and my relationships with other people. I met this young man a few years ago, and he was bright and fun and exciting, and we became good friends. And little did I know that I became his project. And so I thought we were friends. And he saw me as something else. He saw me as somebody who was suffering and that he had to fix. And when it finally came to be where I realized what was going on, I was met with the most cruel experience of my life from somebody. And at that moment, I defined the relationship. He didn't, I did. And that was it. We were done. And it broke my heart, but I could not be in a relationship with somebody who saw me as less than, and I still can't. So that was the number one thing that I had to do, because I didn't have any boundaries. I was like, oh, we're just like having fun. But he didn't tell me what he needed, if he needed space or whatever, because he didn't have the emotional capacity or the emotional knowledge, and neither did I, about how to define a relationship and what do you want out of this. And it's just a really difficult thing, and I have a hard time expressing what I want and what I need with other people because I can't stand the rejection, and I don't know how to handle the conflict if somebody has a different vision than I do. And so this is a great topic to explore, and I would invite you, and I'm going to do the same, is to journal about this today, is to think about some of the important relationships in your life, and what is the vision you have of that relationship? How do you want to define that relationship? What are the boundaries you want to add to it? What are the confusing parts of that relationship that you want to change, that you want to make clear? And would you want to talk about defining it with that other person and be willing to have the hard conversation? And then think about, when you're journaling, how would it feel to define this new relationship? And this is something I would really love for you all to think about. One of the things that I need in a relationship is validation. And I need it because I'm being heard, because I want somebody to hear what I have to say, not because I'm right, but because it's important to me and I want to be known about. I want that. And validation isn't meaning like I see you and I hear you. I fucking hate that when somebody says that to me. I see you, I hear you. No, you don't. No, you don't. This is how you validate. Wow, that sounds like it was really important to you. You know, I really appreciated when you shared that to me, because it means this is important to you. And when somebody goes around and they go off on another story, it just, like, I don't count. And this is something that I've been working on for a really long time. I know how to hold space for people, but I don't know how to express what I want in a relationship. And that's going to be my journey for the next few weeks. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and maybe share this with someone else who may benefit from it. But really, let's start being honest, direct, and loving in our relationships, and ask that other person what they need from the relationship, and see if you can come to a conclusion or to a vision that you both can have, no matter what type of relationship it is. The most important thing to me that you can give in a relationship is your attention. I love you.